host. First of all, I want to say hello to everybody. Thank y'all for joining the second part of the Pineau de Charentes series. Today is going to be a lot of fun. We got a dope, fun tasting. It's taking everything inside me not to open these bottles until today. So I want to thank the brands also for sending the bottles out to all of you. Big congratulations to you guys for scoring the highest and being able to be a part of this. And I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to just kick it over to Franky because she's amazing. And she uses words that make her sound way smarter than I am. So, Franky, it's all on you.
Words, I love words. So thank you so much for that, Josh. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone in Facebook land and out there in the world. Thank you so much for being here for the second part of our Pineau de Charentes extravaganza. So first we had the tasting, we had the class, the 101, about 10 days ago. And today is the fun day, the extra fun day, because we get to taste along with these 10 people who are here who were the winners of our the A-Star quiz. So let me actually tell you about how the quiz worked. Is that Lush Life handled everything and they scored all the tests and they only gave me the scores with the highest. The people who scored the highest got passed on to me, and then I was able to score the last portion, which was that extra, the essay question. So I only got the perfect scores. So all of the people here had perfect scores, but not only that, they spent a lot of time working on their answers. I could tell by everything that they jotted down, and that's why they're here. So I went back and I had selected 10 people, and then those people were the ones that you see here. There's 8 of them, I think, right now. So hopefully we'll have a couple more joining us momentarily. So what I was hoping to do is I'm going to call you out in alphabetical order. Then I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit about yourself and where you work and where you are from, or where you're living right now, put it that way. We don't need to go too deep. Yeah, so I guess we're going to start, and you know I'm starting with, because you must always be the first in the line, Alexandria Bowler.
Hi.
There's no getting away from that. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. My name is Alexandria, but I go by Alexa for short. Oh. I live in New Orleans and I work in the Sazerac bar, or would normally be working in the Sazerac bar. And I'm excited to be here. I've had a little bit of experience with Pineau de Charentes before, but I'm excited to delve in a little bit deeper.
Great, and actually, thank you for bringing that up, because that was the other part of my question. You can let us know if you're familiar with Pineau before or not. And the next, Rafa Garcia Febles.
Oh, we were going alphabetically, Franky.
We are. Well, my last name.
Ah.
Sorry.
I see. Hi, I'm Rafa. I am the wine director for the Wythe Hotel in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and the beverage manager for our restaurant, Le Crocodile. I've been working with Pineau de Charentes in cocktails for several years, and I've started enjoying it as just an aperitif on its own pretty recently.
Amazing. That would be the New York Times 3-star Le Crocodile, n'est-ce pas?
The last ever New York Times 3-star restaurant, yes.
Okay. All right, amazing. Next, alphabetically by last name, is Devin. Is it pronounced Fine? Oh no. Okay, we'll get back to Devin. Next will be Alessa Geboff, AG. There you go. Hi.
Hi, my name's Alessa. I am originally from North Carolina. You sent my bottles to Jersey because I'm holed up at my dad's house. But I'm a pastry chef turned bartender, and I've actually been working in an Asian Latin fusion restaurant. So all of this is completely not what I've been doing for the last few years. So I'm super excited about it.
Great, thank you. And do we have? Okay, we're gonna skip over Stephen for now. We're gonna go to Eddie. Oh no, Stephen here. Okay, I just can't see him.
Yeah, he's muted, but he's in
okay.
here.
Stephen Hirschauer, present yourself, won't you?
Stephen's muted.
Okay, can you unmute yourself, Stephen? Okay, let's get back to Stephen. Let's jump to Eddie Kim because he looks ready. Hi.
Hi, how are you doing? Hi.
Well, we've never met.
No, we haven't. I'm here in DC, still holed up in DC. I used to work at Room 11, a small corner cocktail bar. And I've been around the US doing some consulting work as well.
Fabulous. Okay, Great. Nice. Yeah, nice to see you. And are you familiar with Pinot before?
Yeah. I mean, I've dabbled a little bit with Pinot de Charente. I've seen it in a couple bars. Notably, I saw it was at ABV bar in San Francisco. They have a highball, Pinot highball on their menu.
Yeah.
So
You mean,
that was probably the last time I had it.
Right. You mean low ABV bar. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. You don't need to have
That took a second
whatever.
to
You already
explain.
won. You already won. All right. Next is Mary Pollack. Hello.
Hi, I'm in San Jose, California, and I'm a bartender at a bar called Paper Plane. Super excited to be here. I first had Pinot a few years ago on my first trip to Cognac, and then I could never find it. So I'm really excited that I now have this whole collection at home.
What year was that?
2017.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, that's the first year that I started working with Pinot. So obviously things have improved since then.
Yeah.
So great. All right. Fabulous. So let's, all right. So Stephen, are you there? Stephen Hirschauer?
Should be back. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes. There you go.
There we go.
Hello.
Oh, I'm based out of San Diego, and I work with a few different whiskey clubs, and we actually went over to brandy and cognac and armagnac as alternatives, and visited the region, and actually visited a bunch of estates for Pineau de Charentes and got very into it. And a few of our friends are running some pretty nice liquor stores that always seem to have them in, so that's nice for us. And this is really great to join and be here, be a part of this with you.
Great, thank you. I know you've been really engaged with a lot of spirits on Facebook, so it's good to see you. And all right, so
Hey, Frankie.
Yes.
Before we go a little further, I don't want to interrupt, but since Devin's having some technical issues, I'm going to be Devin for a few minutes and intro him so we can all get to know who that is.
Yeah, you be
That's
Devin.
cool.
You
All
be-
right.
you be-
So
you be
I'm
everyone.
Devin Feeney, kind of like Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. Great reference. Devin is in Nashville, Tennessee. He's the bar manager at a Japanese restaurant. He's not too familiar with Pinot, and he's really, really excited to become acquainted with it. So I'm Devin and Josh all at the same time. Happy to meet you.
So it's Feeney, not fine. Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right. So next we have Maggie Prilliman. Unmute, por favor.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. I work, well, I'm furloughed from an Asian fusion bar. This is my first time trying Pinot. I'm really excited. I've heard all about it, but it's really difficult to find around here. And I feel like I learned so much from you on the last one, so I'm psyched to try it for the first time.
Great. Yeah, I think you and Devin, this is the first time for both of you, so that's really exciting. And next we have Mr. Solomon Thomas.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sol. I manage and bartend at a gourmet hot dog and sausage restaurant in Philadelphia called Destination Dogs. It's very casual, but we have some good cocktails. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey, but I've been here for the past 3 years, and kind of full circle started my career in this industry here in Philly, traveling from New Jersey, and very happy to be living here now. This is my very first time with Pineau de Charente, besides what I learned from the last masterclass. So I'm excited to be here with y'all too.
Wonderful, thank you. And we met when you did MIB last year.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And last we have the W's, Josh Weidinger.
Yeah, you said it right. Nice. Thank you.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for hosting us and for sending us these amazing Pinots. I am located in Sleepy Hollow, New York right now, in the Hudson Valley, about an hour north or so of Manhattan. And I currently actually am grateful enough to be employed by 2 jobs right now. One, working on the recommendations team for wine.com for their spirits and their wine. And then I also work for a smaller distributor called Angel Share for mostly wine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing. That's great. Fabulous. So cool. All right. So what we're going to do next is I think there's some people watching out there who may want to know the answers to some of the questions from the quiz. I know you all know, obviously, but we're just going to quickly take up the test, right? So we're going to get some answers here. So, so the first question was, what is Pineau de Charente? And if anybody wants to answer, you can go right ahead, but I'll just read out. It's a fortified wine, or you could have said vin liqueur or a mistère, any of the above. The Pinot's comprised of a blend of blanc and blank. So one of those blanks was grape must, grape juice, pressed grape juice, and cognac. We can say cognac eau de vie. And in what proportions? So 3/4 grape must to 1/4 cognac, or 3 to 1. The two components must come from the same estate and same producer. True or false? The answer is
True.
right.
True.
True. Thank God, because I don't know how to do F this way. And then name the main grape variety used to produce white Pinot de Charente and one used to produce red. So the white, Uni Blanc, which could have said Pinot Noir also, but Uni Blanc is the main one. And then red could have been Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, or Malbec. And then what are the minimum age requirements for Pinot styles? So the Jeune Blanc, the young white, is 18 months, 12 in oak. The young red is 12 months, 8 in oak. Old white, 5 years. Old red, also 5 years. So it was a bit of a trick because they were both the same. And the very old white is 10 years. Same with very old red. Name the two major production regions of Pinot, the Charente and the Charente-Maritime. What is the average ABV? The average is 17, but you could have said between 16 to 22. Some people did that. Additives such as caramel and sugar are prohibited in the production of Pinot de Charente. True or false? That's another.
True.
That's
True.
right. Very important point. Pinot de Charente can be bottled anywhere in France. True or false? False. I'll just do X for that one. Nay, right, down. And yeah, the bonus question was, what year did Pinot Charente receive its AOC designation? Do you guys remember that?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Anybody? Remember that? What year did Pinot receive its AOC?
1945.
Thank you. Who said that?
Mary.
Right. Thanks. Fabulous. All right. Right on. All right. So I think now we're going to get to some tasting. So what I'd like to do is we're just going to talk about each producer. Can we have a quick shot of the bottles there? So we can have a sexy bottle shot to see what we'll be tasting now. There we go. All right. Very exciting. So again, we thank our sponsors right here. Thank our brands for this. So we're going to taste each one and discuss any tasting notes you have. I'd actually really like to hear from all of you. So just if you'd like to raise your hand virtually, and then let me just share this screen here. All right, here. All right, so great. So here are our bottles, and then we find this clicker. All right, so let's start with the first. So everybody, I hope everyone has a glass of water too. So everyone have some water, so just so you can, stay hydrated or cleanse in between. Cleanse your palate, that is. I'm gonna, just a glass of water, no shower, nothing like that right now. All right, so everybody sat? Cool, all right. So let us start with the David Ramnou. All right, so the Jeune Blanc. So this is a blend of Uni Blanc, Colombard, and Semillon. And just for everybody, so Colombard can generally be used for freshness. It can bring some nice acidity. And also, Colombard was one of the grapes that used to be prominent in the region pre-phylloxera, but post, it just didn't take as well to the replanting. So you do see it now, but it's more grafted onto vines, and you'll find it more actually in the Gascony region. And then Semillon, you might know that, of course, is a Bordeaux variety, often used, again, as a blend, but it's the base of one of the most famous dessert wines out there. And it's a thin-skinned grape. You sometimes find monovarietal Semillon in Australia, but generally in this area here, you're going to find it as a blend. And this is an organic and a biodynamic wine, Pinot. So organic, organic is legislated. There are actually rules for organic. Biodynamic is a little bit different. It can be a little bit harder to define. Biodynamic can be anything from, the low intervention, so the minimal amount of manipulation in the winemaking process. It can be, you know, planting at a certain time, having a real respect for the earth and the terroir. So, so this, all of these things with David Ramnou, and a few, a little bit about him. He operates with his wife in a little town called Maroille. All production comes from their vines, and the vines are, they've got about 60-year-old Uni Blanc vines, 25-year-old Colombard, all hand harvested, as I said, organic, biodynamic, and he does élevage of each variety separately. So he will. We had this question the last time actually. So he'd make his Uni Blanc, fortified Uni Blanc, fortified Colombard, and then Semillon, and then blend those together. Aging in barrel on the lees. So, all right, let's get our noses in. And so for those of you, if there are people out there who don't normally taste, I mean, people have different ways of tasting. There are people who like to do the dog sniff and do multiple short sniffs at once. I like to take a small sniff and then kind of, you know, move the glass away so your olfactories are not overwhelmed. And maybe hold it at different places too, depending on the aromas. You can get different aromas. I get it from different nostrils. So sometimes, you know, you might be blocked over here, but not so much here. So, you know, you can feel free to move it around. And yeah, anybody would like to say anything about this? First on the nose.
I get a lot of like unripe, like peaches, like orchard fruits. Like,
yeah,
a lot of white and yellow flowers as well, but
Yeah.
definitely like those, that stone fruit.
Right. Yeah.
White peach, apricot.
Mhm.
Grapes, which might seem obvious, but definitely some like white grape.
I'm glad you said that because I often smell grapes as well, and it's true. There are certain wines where you don't smell grapes, you know. So green grapes. All right, so yeah, let's taste. And again, for people who don't normally taste spirits or wines, we usually like to do 2 tastes, right? Because the first taste is, you know, kind of getting your palate ready and perhaps like cleansing it of whatever you just had in your mouth. And then the second taste can reinforce all of those flavors for you. So I'm going to spit, but you can do whatever you'd like. By the way, I'm curious with the group, is anybody really just tasting this for the first time or did you dig in before? It's okay.
This is.
I just opened these.
Oh, okay.
I just opened mine.
Did you have something to say there, Madame Perlman?
This is genuinely my first time trying it. And it's delicious.
So, thoughts? One thing I'd like to point out is anyone's mouth watering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
high acidity to it.
Right. You know, and that's something that I'd like you to focus on, because sometimes people think with sweet wines that they're very cloying, and you know, and that's what's really special about some of these Pinots, is that you have this acidity which is going to cut through, which is going to be great with food, and you know, it's not going to leave you going. It's not going to leave you with mush mouth. You know, so it's actually awakening that palate. So.
It starts out pretty round and a little waxy. I don't know if that's from the Semillon, but then it finishes really dry and tart.
Yeah, it definitely has like a malolactic quality, kind of like shortbread, which is really nice. It gives body, like beyond even the added alcohol, I'm sure, the richness, and finishes with like a hazelnut skin situation for me.
Right. And that body could also be due to the fact that, I don't know if I mentioned, it's aging in barrel on leaves. So, you know, right.
You're definitely getting that bready quality coming out, especially the acid is, because it's on the lighter side, the bready quality will come out towards the end of the palate.
Right. Yeah. Anybody want to speak about lees a little bit? Any of our winos, our songs?
Dead yeast. They're hanging out. They're giving body. They're giving texture. They're giving probably some flavors, but continued aging on the dead yeasts after fermentation is completed, often in the barrel.
Thank you. Fabulous. And you can distill on lees as well, but that tends to be a big process, because then you've got to clean out your container every time, so, and they're really sticky. So it's actually more of an investment to distill on lees. All right, let's move on to number 2. We have the, that's okay. That's all right. I'm going to go back to my share screen and because I just feel like sharing today. Yeah. All right. Actually, yeah, I just want to show a couple of pictures as we have our, so before we move on, David Ramu in his vineyards. And then to the right there, you can see that photo. Can we see that? Because I can't quite see him, but he's actually in that photo. All right. He's the second on the right there. So that was a luncheon we did. So there was, that's when I got to meet David Ramu. I actually have a picture of us together, but I just didn't feel like I wanted it to, sorry, is that? What's happening? I don't know what that, is that, did anyone else hear that beeping?
I think someone's phone is buzzing.
Okay, so maybe so you can, I don't know.
That'd be me.
Under a pillow or something, maybe sit on it. All right, so here we are, Pierre Ferrand de Jules Blanc. So, are we, you know what, I forgot to mention the price. We talk about the price right now. I just did a search online, you know, wine searcher, and the Ramu, the average price there was $45. And I have some distributor info here as well. So for your states, let's see. Of course, we've got PM Spirits in New York, Ramu. Tennessee, we've got Ad Vintage. And then I don't see it in many of the other states that you are all in at the moment, but that's for now. Let's see what happens. All right, so Ferrand. All right, so 100% Grand Champagne. So all of the eau de vie here and the vines come from right in the center of our 6 growing crews, of our 6 terroir regions in Cognac. Pierre Ferrand, I'm probably familiar with this brand. Alexandre Gabriel took it over in about 1989, but the Ferrand family had actually been one of the first cooperatives in Cognac. They tend to distill on the lees with their eau de vie, and they have, well, this is a place that I got to visit a couple of times. And maybe Mary, you said you were in Cognac, maybe you got to visit them as well, or maybe some other people have been there. So let's, there we go. There's me with Alexandre in the Paradis. And I took that picture of him in the vines there. So, all right, let's get our noses in. Anybody? And also, pay attention to color. I don't know if everyone has kind of a white background, but already between this the Ramu and this one, there's a little bit of more variation I see here.
Do you want to show on camera?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
yes.
So you can probably see there's a little, I don't know if everyone can see that, but so there's also variation here, which could be due to many factors, like the aging, for example. Here we go, yes. Actually, sorry, it's like this. So I don't know if you can see that, but anyway. All right, so nose. On the nose, I'm already getting more like just kind of rounded, I'll say like almost this acacia honey. I'm getting a lot more honey notes here, and almost these like creme caramel. I'm also almost getting something like that, as well as a little green apple skin. And let's see what else. Anyone else?
I mean, overall, it seems like it's the notes are way more muted in this one, but
yeah.
Well, I guess I just think, well, maybe more muted, but I feel like the condition of the fruit is more ripe in this one.
Yeah,
where this
yeah,
like,
definitely, or even to the cooked quality.
Yeah,
that's definitely right. So we're going from like perhaps a little more brightness here to a little bit more, like you said, cooked fruit here, right? Maybe not quite stewed, but cooked. Yeah, ripe fruit here. Yeah. The body's different. The acidity level's definitely different. As far as where this is available, it's California, SGWS, Florida, SGWS again. Louisiana, Wines Unlimited. New Jersey, Allied. Breakthrough. New York is SGWS, Southern Glacier Wine Spirits. Pennsylvania, Breakthrough. Tennessee's Empire West. Oh, Empire. And the retail on this that I looked up was about $30. And these are, again, retail prices. So they'd be different for,
This has a few more dimensions on the nose. It does have that kind of caramelly low end, that sort of honeycomb flavor, but like these really bright, clear, like high tone florals. But it's balanced really differently. It finishes very sweet. It's much rounder on the palate.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So, all right, let's move on to the party. 1 second, let me get this share. All right. Okay. All right, Le Coq d'Or. So here we have a blend of Uni Blanc Colombard. We're back at 17% ABV. And actually that lower right is Benedict Hardy, who's a descendant of the gentleman Anthony Hardy. He was actually an Englishman. His name was Anthony, and he actually changed it to Antoine because he became so enamored with the French culture when he moved down to France. And the maître de chai, his name is Michael Bouilly, and they've got very modern facilities. Actually, I have a picture here. If you see on the left, so these are ones that I took. I will admit this was years ago. This is 2013, but still, that's their little laboratory there where they do a lot of testing, and that's Michael in their one of their paradis. And you can see on the left, these are called tonneaux, which are large, obviously see like blending vats. All right, so that's a little bit about Hardy. And the house was actually established in 1863. All right, so let's stick our noses in Hardy. And again, please have a look at the color. See if there's a variation from the last we tasted. Definitely from the first. You can switch me back to the.
Is difference in color primarily from the aging process, or is it from skin contact?
In general, it should be from the aging process and from the particular eau de vie that they choose to blend with. So if they're blending, they could be blending with something that has a little bit more age to it. I don't actually know exactly which eau de vie they're using. I know, for instance, with David Ramnew, it says that he's using a 1-year-old eau de vie. So that's not a lot of time in barrel, obviously. So it's all of those things. I don't think there's that much. Generally, there's no skin contact with the whites. They generally go right to pressing. So, but again, I've got to qualify everything by saying, house style can vary, and people don't always reveal all their secrets. So any thoughts?
Right off the bat, this to me, I'm getting a lot more sherry-like qualities to it. I can smell that yeast cap around the top. I can guess that on the palate, it's going to be a little bit more yeasty too.
To me, when you say that, it reminds me it has like kind of a sea salt thing.
Salted caramel kind of thing for me.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I can definitely get that salted caramel for sure.
See, the fruit is definitely stewed or even mulled more so on this one.
Yeah. I just tasted, I'm getting this real like tangerine quality to it. And the acidity is still there, though, pushing forward, which is nice. And kind of golden raisin note as well.
Yeah.
Haven't heard from Josh in a while, is Devin back? Did we get Devin?
Devin's here, just can't.
Okay. And I meant sorry, Mr.
Her camera
Widener.
doesn't work.
Sorry. Okay. I meant Mr. Widener.
Oh yeah, no.
You
said tangerine. I get a lot of tangerine. That's the first thing that popped out to me.
Yeah.
A lot of nuttiness too, but I really get that in Pinots in general. So
Oh yeah.
this one a lot of like almost like almond butter sort of
Yeah.
as far as the nuttiness.
Mm-hmm. Anybody getting anything herbal at all? Do we get any herbs on these?
I got a lot of like on the finish on some of these, like a little bit of vegetal. Like I thought of celery for some reason.
Oh yeah. Great. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like mirepoix, cooking down mirepoix.
All right. And all right, Solomon, I'll call you up for the next one. So, all right. All right. All right, let's go back to the screen for a second. All right. And so, okay, so now we're on to a reviseur. So now, of course, we've gone from our young Pinots, all those three were the jeunes. Now we're moving on to vieux, right? So old. So now we're talking about, of course, 5 years minimum aging. Just to point out, the gentleman in the top right there, I actually took this picture. His name is Michel Guérin. He's a master blender. And the two people on the bottom. So this is actually Reviseur is part of Domaine Abécassis. So they make those three brands, Léra, ABK6, Abécassis, and Reviseur. And that's Elodie Abécassis, the daughter who was with the company, which is 23 years old. I think she stepped back, and that's her father on the right. So the three, what we're tasting, obviously, Reviseur right now, which is 100% from Pineau, from the Petite Champagne region, 100% Uni Blanc. The Pinot grapes actually come from a town called Aubéville, and they grow everything, ferment, distill, and blend all on site. So they do all that work themselves. They said that their grapes are generally pressed within 15 minutes. And they have actually a very modern facility also, where they have underground pipes that go from their presser to their fermentation tanks, and then more pipes that go through to the distillery. And then, let's see. So when we're noticing right away, there's color. If you actually even go back to the Hardy or the Ferrand, you'll see obviously a big difference here due to the aging. And any notes on our nose? I will say one thing that's interesting about this this house also, they make, like I said, two other styles. They make one called Léra, which is 100% Framboise, so everything comes from the largest growing region in that area. And then they make the Abécassis line, which is a blend of the Reviseur and the Léra. So there's more to look forward to here. So right away, I'm getting that. I know we spoke about this last time, but that Rancio. Are you all familiar with Rancio? We get that in cognac. Some people get that in whiskey as well.
It's definitely mushroomy.
Sorry?
Mushroomy. This one's
right.
Mushrooms, like button mushrooms, I guess.
Yeah. And that's one characteristic of Rancio, definitely. That mushroom. Some people say forest floor, walnut skin, that kind of thing. So that's a desirable quality. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
I mean, I'm still getting a good amount of freshness off of it, even though it has been aged for longer.
Mm-hmm. Which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, this is my first time trying an aged one, and I think that I guess it's the tannin texture in the middle of the palate gives it like more dimension to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we have a mid palate here.
Mm-hmm, more mid palate for sure, in texture.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of apricot notes. Sorry?
Lingers pretty nicely. I enjoy that rancio flavor that you're picking up as well out of it.
I like that backdrop there, Mr. Hirschauer. Right on. Yeah, definitely. Mr. Solomon Thomas, anything you'd like to say? Are you still here? Okay. All right. Anybody else to have anything? Any other notes on the mouthfeel? Well, I think this has obviously a lot richer body. And what might be interesting, if you even go back to, say, nosing the Ramnu again and see how that's changed. The nose, there you go. The nose.
I don't realize I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So did you just spend the last 10 minutes talking to us?
I spent the last but only on this one. This is my favorite of all of them. I tasted them like when they first came in after they were chilled, and then another day just to kind of like get my palate a little more used to it. But this is only my third time trying them. But I agree with the automatically with the walnut and raisins on the nose. The Ancio character is really lovely for me. Reminds me of like a mushroom strudel, but the finish is more sweeter, like a kind of like tomato tart I get from that as well. A little breadiness, a little like butter is nice. So I was a big fan of this one for sure. And I kind of spoke in the essay portion of one that was a little bit older, something that I would pair with food. So I think my palate, without even having them, knew I was going to appreciate this one out of all of them.
Right. Alessa, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'm getting, in most of them, I actually get more of a marzipan note. A traditional almond note, but on this one I get a little more like a maple syrup quality, kind of.
Huh, great, fabulous. And I just wanted to share it so I want you guys to think about, we're just gonna talk about kind of usages, cocktails and pairings, but I just kind of wanted to show you this as well, so it's interesting. So this is actually right there, right? And this is 100% Citron Pineau, as I said. It's really cool, like grape sculpture they have. And sorry, that's just me saying hi. And then what's interesting is, so these are the foods that I mentioned, the blending vats that obviously smaller than the ones we saw at Hardy. What's cool is, so these pictures that you see there, they're actually made of this kind of paper that is, what's the name of that paper? I want to say it's like a craft paper that will be affected by the humidity and by the atmosphere in that type of cellar they have. It's not really a cellar, but that aging facility they have. So as the temperature in the atmosphere changes, it's going to affect that paper that they used in those paintings. They're not paintings. They're what would you call that? Those. Well, let's just call it a painting for now. But yeah, so that the atmosphere will actually change that and change the color. So that was kind of a cool thing. I don't know if I explained that really well, but basically they're using this material that is affected by heat or humidity and atmosphere, and that will change as time goes on. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, so that's at Reviseur there. And that's at Plex. It's a little temple. Cheers!
Is it most common for these facilities, the aging facilities, to be air conditioned or not?
Not. It depends. Generally, the humid cellars are just at atmospheric temperature, which is about, I want to say 60 to 70% humidity. And I haven't seen any that are, but I went to one, Chateau Bouillon, and their facility was, I feel it was temperature controlled. So and you'd find that more in a dry facility. So a dry cellar, a dry aging facility would actually have like a regular, it would be like a regular kind of room with like a floor and that type of thing. Whereas the humid cellars would have almost like a dunnage cellar that you'd find in Scotland. So it would just be an earthen floor. So.
How common, if at all, is new oak?
Well, funny that you mentioned that, because I think I forgot to mention that. Reviseur actually ages their eau de vie in new oak for a few months to start. So again, it really depends on the profile that they're trying to get, because of course, aging new oak is going to get you what? It's going to get you much more transfer of all of those qualities that are coming out from the oak at first. So you'd start with aging maybe for a short amount of time, and then eventually move to an older oak, so you have less of that, the oak imparting, its qualities, whether it's the lactones or anything like that. So it really just depends again on the house and their style. But again, it's an economic factor because we know that oak barrels are very expensive. So, and one other thing I want to say too, a new oak in cognac it's not like virgin oak. New oak can be a barrel that's had some liquid in it for maybe a year or 2 years. I think maybe up to 3 years can still be considered kind of new. So, all right. So actually, let's not go back to the question. Let's go back to everybody. So I just want to talk about if anybody has ideas with their cocktails, or if anybody had a cocktail they wanted to discuss, or a pairing or thought. And I took a few notes about your notes, and I'll just, again, start at the top. So Alexandra, you were talking about, acidity and tannins, and you wanted to pair your Pinot with honey lacquered duck breast, which I thought was really great, because yeah, absolutely, that would go. So if you had any more thoughts on that, if you want to expand on anything, feel free.
I think I was using some of my past wine experience to guess on how a red would be better, along with classic food pairings as well. But I've still never had a red Pinot de Charentes.
Okay.
So I'll be on the lookout for that. Or if you know where I can find one, I'll have to pick one up. But yeah, just kind of playing on some of the obvious flavors. I think I put some like pistachios or something like that. So playing on the nut flavors, playing on the honey flavors, it's complementary, and then contrasting I could put like a bitter green on the dish as well. So the sweetness of the wine kind of cutting through that bitter element and complementing each other.
Amazing. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention are your distributors for the Reviseur. In California, we're looking at Pacific Edge. Florida, looks like there's no Florida. Louisiana, Wines Unlimited. New Jersey, Shore Point. New York, Charentes Brothers. Actually distributed by Empire, I thought. Pennsylvania, looks like Johnson Brothers. And Tennessee, no, sorry. So yeah, fabulous. Great. And then Rafa, you were talking about pairing the Pinot with maybe some difficult to pair vegetables, or a red with flourless chocolate cake, or pot still rum, and mezcal also.
Yeah, I had on a rooftop bar. I had a drink with a white Pinot, some mezcal, some Moscato grapes, and it was like a shiso infusion. I don't know. I think like white grape flavors and like earthy agave, like mezcal or tequila flavors, tend to play off really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this particular, I've been really enjoying the Reviseur, like everybody else here. The Rancio notes, the kind of Rive Saut or Madeira quality, and I was just imagining. I think it'd be very nice in like a cobbler format with maybe like some pistachio accents, like a pistachio orgeat or something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all on the table.
Yeah.
All on the table. Great. Thank you so much for that. Maybe, Devin, she can maybe write in. Maybe she can write some thoughts. Maybe ask her to. So Devin's camera's broken.
Yeah, she's here. So.
But yeah, so she can just write in. We'll get back to her. Devin was talking about using about peach season in Tennessee, and so she would use peaches and maybe thinking about infusions, that kind of thing. All right, so Lessa, you are a trained pastry chef, and you were talking about, what caught my eye was manchego creme brulee.
I made it for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's sexy.
Yeah, so I actually found a quince. I was so excited when I found the quince, but that's why most of this is gone. But I used the organic one to poach it. But I just really like how the acidity just clears your palate of all that fat from the cheese. So it actually works really, really well with this.
Wow. So it turned out well, huh?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can ship that to me. Man, I don't know.
I'm in New Jersey right now. I could just
No pressure. No pressure. All right, so Steve Hirschauer. So you were talking about how Well, okay, so you're a big Rancio fan. You put that in your notes here, and you've actually tasted. You're familiar with the Bash, which is or you're familiar with older Pinots anyway. That was like 10, 15 years old. So, are you there? We get
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed pretty much all of these, and I go. We had a nostalgic factor with going to the Coq d'Or. There's actually a restaurant there in Cognac that we like sitting out on the patio, and you had shops across the way. You had the bars where the industry, the producers were actually drinking there after we visited the estates, and a lot of the stuff that we really like, and with it being warm here, we actually like mixing things really simply. They liked their cognac and tonic, and I actually think this would work well with a lot of that, going that way really simply, just a couple ingredient cocktail with the tonic even.
For sure. Yeah, so PNT is one of the cocktails that I developed. So all the cocktails that I developed for Pinot are really to be, the idea with them is that they should be easily replicated, and cocktails that we can make at events as we travel. We used to be traveling around to different cities. So definitely the PNT, but the idea with that one was to not kind of over dilute the Pinot. So basically I did like 2 ounces of young white to about 1.5 ounces of tonic with a grapefruit express grapefruit twist and thyme, served in a wine glass on ice. It's people always say, yeah, exactly, right. That's it. We're done. That's it. And people love it. It's accessible and it's just easy to make. So yeah, you don't need to have a big production. All right, Eddie Kim. Let's see. So you were talking about doing Pinot with whiskey, and you were talking about the more, perhaps it depend on the type of whiskey you would use. So it could have been. Yeah, so maybe you can talk to us.
I'm glad it was very apropos because you're talking about the highball, your PNT. Like my approach to highballs has always been a lot of soda water, and so it'd be pretty interesting to see how the Pinot de Charente would react with more soda water than you normally would for a highball. So like the Japanese style highball is normally like a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 or even a 4-to-1 soda to spirit. So if you just combine the Pinot de Charente with a little bit of whiskey, probably the Japanese whiskey or even Scotch, good amount of really great high quality soda water with a lot of effervescence to it, I think that would open up a lot of flavors in the PDC and the whiskey. That would pair up really well with, just make it refreshing in general by itself, but just pair up really well with some lighter fare.
For sure. And just so there's no confusion, I was saying less mixer, not more.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so just FYI, but you can do what you want, but that's how. And also because you have to remember the Pinot, we're talking about a lower ABV than our whiskey, right? So I mean, if we're talking about a whiskey at 40%, it's obviously going to hold up much to more dilution than say, something at 17, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So, and I do find that Pinot tends to get, if you're not careful, if you overshake your cocktail and over dilute, you can lose it, just like you would vermouth. That kind of thing. So I don't think you need too much manipulation, but again, up to you. And you like to pair your PBC highball with seasoned seafood crudo?
Crudos, yeah. I've worked in a number of Japanese. I think a lot of us have worked in. Seems like it was Asian fusion bars. It sounds like. Yeah. So I think we all know what it's like to try to pair Asian food, which has more subtle flavors to begin with. Yeah. Generally, it's not like a ceviche with a high acid. If you do a crudo, it's going to be lower acid, more subtle flavors. So you want like something a little bit more nuanced to go along with it.
Fabulous.
And definitely one of the more the younger PDCs rather than the aged ones.
Yeah, cool. All right, Madame Mixers Mary, you were talking about red Pinots in a spritz application. And maybe like a classic bamboo variation, that kind of thing. You want to extract
I really loved your idea of the Pinot and Fino. So that's kind of where I went. I think that absolutely like one of the first two that we tried, the Ramnu or the Piaf Ram would work great. I have also yet to try a red. I was kind of guessing what that might be like, but I thought that it would stand up a lot more in a spritz. But I still love the idea of like a low proof martini style, especially with the Ferrand, because there was like a little bit of that herbal like celery note that I got on the finish that I thought would pair really nice with like a manzanilla or even just like a super dry vermouth. with like a beautiful like pickled vegetable in there as well.
Aha, pickles. I love it. That's great. And yeah, honestly, red Pinot has been a little harder to find. So we're not focusing on it as much. But yes, I've made quite a few cocktails with it. And yeah, it can hold up really well. And I did one, not quite a spritz, but with Lambrusco and just an orange bitter and grapefruit juice. 4 ingredients, again, really simple, a real crowd pleaser. And you know, if you need the recipe, let me know once we find all the reds. All right, so Maggie, so you were talking about, so again, you're a newbie, so you were just kind of feeling it out. You were prognosticating. You're like, yeah, this is what I think could happen. So want to take advantage of the low ABV and the fruity notes, which I think is great. So we can get Maggie Perlman on screen. And you love the combination grapefruit and sage, muddling. And so, yeah, you can talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I made a cocktail with grapefruit and sage. That was one of my favorites. The combination of the two together was really lovely. And I was going by what I thought it would taste like based on your presentation. And I was expecting to go with like a one of the younger ones. This one it's a little more subdued than I thought on the citrus.
Which one?
I just did the Ramnu.
Okay.
I imagine because it's the youngest, but
right.
Well, and then I talked a little bit about the like maybe a little bit of salt. I didn't know what my camera's blurry.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Salt absolutely can work.
Yeah, to balance it out. I think after trying it, I would do a little bit higher of a ratio of it because it's kind of delicate.
Right. Yeah. So again, you know, it's all about, like you said, I think it was you that said experimentation, you know, just trying it out and just seeing what works best, which is why you have a selection here, right? So now you can make that one cocktail with, you know, the 3 young whites and figure out you know, what works best.
I'm really excited because I think only this one is the one you said we could get in my area, and the rest of them I wouldn't have had access to. So it's awesome to be
right. For now, again, until you start lobbying your distributors, the importers and distributors, like we want PDC. All right. So Solomon Thomas, talk to me about your apricots, local honey, and possibly you had me at guanciale, by the way. I love guanciale. But you know, one thing I liked that you said was that you were talking about Roquefort cheese, but you said a small portion, and I thought that little detail was so important because often, you know, we tend to have an imbalance in ratios, even with food. You know, so you wouldn't want, you know, with a glass of Pinot, you wouldn't want a big hunk of cheese. You would want a small portion because there is that saltiness. You don't want too much at once. So, what were you thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with me, it's so much like ties into like the idea of memory and experience, you know. So I thought about like the life of these vines, and the life of the people, and French gastronomy and everything, and the Charente Maritime, and I realized that like I felt more tied to a food pairing than a cocktail pairing for this, which is my route in the industry. And anyways, with food is how I got started. And I thought about the calcareous soil and like this minerality coming through the vine and into the fruit that eventually ends up in our glass, and trying to just get a little bit of that by taking like something that is really robust in flavor and sharp, like a Roquefort cheese, whipping it to create some air, kind of reminds you of like, I don't know, being in the vineyards after a rain, and like kind of the smell is kind of putting yourself in the place of that. So I thought about the food that might pair with it, the experience of a person who lives in the life, what they will be tasting while trying these, the eau de vie and the cognac and the PDC. So that's what I did when I put my pairing together, I would say.
All right, cool, thanks. So you could probably think of making a good cocktail that could pair well with a hot dog here?
Yeah, I could, honestly, probably. Hot dogs are pretty salty. We make our own sausage, so if I were to use a sausage, I'd probably use, well, we actually make duck sausage. They all have funny names, call them puns on buns. So our French dog is called the Charles Dog Gall, and it's a duck sausage we make. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, ding!
That's funny. It's a duck sausage with some cornichon, some red onion, some Dijon mustard, some foie gras and duck confit, which is made in house as well. So
Cool.
a little richer, but I mean, some of this could cut through that fat, and some of the ash and the pickle and onion brightness would be nice too.
Take it. I'll take it. I'll take all of this. I'll take all of it. And one more. We've got Josh. Not you, not that Josh. Mr. Weidinger, please. Josh is trying to get back in here. I
was waiting on my name. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah. Look at me.
More important, Josh is what we need.
So Josh was saying that he used to do a tasting menu where the chef would kind of call out or put up courses on the fly and he didn't know what was coming up. So he would use his go-to trick would be to use Pineau, which works incredibly well. Hello, Josh. What do you?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
also
I think
like 50-50 martini variations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's pretty easy, like surprisingly easy to pair with food. I think that was back for a restaurant in Seattle I worked at called Staple and Fancy, I think 6-7 years ago. But yeah, it worked really well with this white peach gazpacho that we had. It even worked really well with like a lavender panna cotta, I remember. Yeah, it's really easy to pair with. It was a little.
And what about the cocktails? You like aquavit? You're saying you want to get some aquavit in there with your Pineau?
Yeah, I haven't tried that one yet, but I think almost kind of like maybe aquavit, like Pineau. I think that the thing with Pineau in the cocktails is that you got to be careful is like just kind of masking it with harsher spirits. I actually really liked Rafa's idea for using it in a cobbler. I think that would be perfect for a cobbler cocktail.
And that wasn't just Rafa's idea; that was your idea too, because you got it right here.
Yeah, put it on there too.
Give yourself some credit.
Like
Amazing, yeah, fabulous. So, I mean, yeah, I was just so impressed with all of your submissions. I'll be totally honest with you, there are a lot of great submissions. It was really hard for me to narrow it down. So I just really appreciate the time that everybody took, to put thought into all of this. I wish we could have had Pineau for everybody. Well, there is Pineau for everybody, but you know what I mean. So yeah, if does anybody have any questions, comments? Do you want anything you want to plug that's coming up for you? Anybody want to, this is your time to shine. We've got a couple more minutes here. And Josh, maybe we can take some questions from the audience. Or hey, did we hear from Devin? Did she write in?
She wrote in, yes. Devin wrote in. She said the same thing. She said she thinks ripe peaches and tonic would be great with Pinot de Charentes. So, and she then somebody else had just said that right as she was typing it, but I agree with that as well.
Yeah. All right, cool. And do you have any thoughts, Josh? Anything you want to say? You tasted the Pinot?
Well, this is my first time. I've actually never had Pinot before today, so I'm like my mind is blown open. Everybody had great submissions, so I'm gonna steal some ideas and play around with them and see what I can come up with on my end.
Stealing credit, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're definitely gonna get the credit, but I'm definitely gonna remix some of these dope ideas, some of these amazing people that
For sure. Yeah. Good. Is anybody angry right now? Is anybody mad at what just happened? I mean, I'm just, I'm happy. Look at me. I'm like, ooh.
Right. I'm
right.
Every single one of my
takes so long to ship everything here. You get the food shipped over quicker.
Right? So that's Mary, something?
Oh, they're making me hungry over here. It's almost lunch, and it's important over in France for lunch. So it's like, let's get that food over here. It sounds good.
The West Coast is being here early. I mean, I know it's a little early. Josh, do we have any questions from the world?
In the chat, there's no questions in the chat. Everybody in the chat is just saying how much they enjoyed this, how dope this was to listen to and be a part of. To thank everyone. Definitely thank you, Franky. Thank all you guys for submitting and being a part of it. Like, this was an amazing hour.
Can we get the gallery view again so I can take a photo? I just want to take a photo. Oh, here, can I do it myself? Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that I'm empowered. All right, sorry. All right, guys, I'm just gonna do a little photo. Everybody looks so happy Pinot people. But anyway, thank you. So seriously, a real sincere thanks. It's been great meeting everybody. I'm gonna keep in touch. Feel free to text me anytime. And yeah, are we good?
Good. I'm good.
Right. I'll ask you one last question. You down with PDC?
You know me.
Yeah, you know me.
One more time. Are you down with PDC?
Yeah,
You know me. Right on. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Frankie.
Thank you.
Hey,
Everyone stay
thanks,
safe.
everybody. Thank you so much for your input. Really
you.
appreciate
Bye, everyone. Stay
it.
safe.
Bye.